AI has completely changed the game, and it's now possible to custom build and design your own digital environments. Everything's becoming so much more flexible now that the interface between code and humans has been improved. And so you can just speak in natural language to these AI agents, and they're going to go out there and write huge amounts of code for you that actually works. And so you can now think in English, and the AI will turn that into code, and it will design custom environments for you, web applications, software, and essentially you don't need to buy SaaS products anymore. Like the subscriptions that you currently pay for online, it's never been easier to build your own version of those products for yourself. And this is crazy. It's going to completely change everything. I mean, it changes what it means to be human, really. The natural extension of this principle is the extension of this into the real world, where you can actually flexibly create your physical environment through the interface of AI, which goes and uses 3D printing technology or whatever to build the environment around you as you intend. But for now, it's just confined to the digital space. So let's talk about that. And I'll give you an example of how I've used this technology to build a custom environment that means I don't need to pay for potentially $100 a month subscriptions for software. What AI is doing is it's basically reduced the time between thought and material reality to so much less than it used to be. You used to have to get a computer science degree, learn how to code, and put hours and days and weeks into developing every single feature. But now you can just say to AI that you want a feature and it will go and build it, push it, and add it to your website live. So I'm building a learning platform around the content from one of my mentors. One of the core themes in the content is this idea of mind flexibility. And so I wanted the platform that the content is hosted on to actually reflect the core underlying themes that my mentor is talking about in the content. I felt like other platforms like Skool and Circle weren't really able to handle that. They feel very rigid. They feel kind of constrained, like they're putting the content in a box, has to follow this very linear format. But the content had so much more potential. And so I needed to create my own environment to express it. I've had this idea for the last 2, 3, 4 years. And I even tried to build it 2 years ago with GPT-4. But it's only now with the latest models and agentic environments that I can actually finally bring this thing into reality, and it's actually working. Okay, so this is a perfect example. This is a platform that I was looking at using for this project earlier. And I just felt like the way that it was designed was so rigid. For example, you have to follow this format on the side here. You have to organize your content in this way. You can't really change anything. Everything is dictated by the platform. And I felt like I was subservient to what the platform wanted. But I wanted the content to be able to express itself in so much more of a unique way than this content would allow. And Bruce Lipton, he wrote The Biology of Belief. He says, it's the environment, stupid. And what he means by that is that the environment of the cell basically dictates how the cell can express itself. And so if you've got some really interesting ideas and you've got a body of knowledge and you want to allow that body of knowledge to express itself in so much more of a powerful way, then this new technology can allow you to create those digital environments which let your ideas really flourish. Because imagine if you're teaching mind flexibility, for example, but your content is hosted in a rigid platform. It's just not going to add up. And the environment is so much more important than even the content itself. The content is literally 5% of what someone learns, whereas the experience of learning is 95% of what is retained. I mean, just think about books that you've read in the past. What do you actually remember from books? It's not the facts, it's not the logical arguments, it's the feeling of the book. The book gives you a new feeling tone or a new feeling lens that you can now perceive the world through. So it's the environment that the book created. So this journey for me is what if we could create so much more fertile and interesting environments starting with the internet. Okay, so this is the platform that I've created to allow this content to express itself in a way more flexible way. And so we've got over 160 videos here, and everything that you're seeing has been custom built by me using Claude. And I've just basically pushed it to GitHub and then pushed it to Vercel. And so the stack is really simple here. We store all of the data in Supabase, which is a free backend. The videos are hosted on a super cheap hosting platform called bunny.net. And then Claude creates all the code, pushes it to GitHub, where it's hosted on Vercel, which is a web application hosting platform, which is also free. The only real expense here is buying a domain and hosting that through a domain provider like Cloudflare. And so not only is it so much more dynamic and flexible than one of these other platforms, it's actually way cheaper to build your own software. All right, so Circle wouldn't allow me to have any of this stuff. Like everything you see here is custom. And so in the past, that would have taken hundreds and hundreds of hours to build what you're seeing here, but actually now I can do it on my own. And yeah, one of the most interesting parts of this is actually how we've got user profiles as well. Not only is it about having a platform where you can just see content, but we can have per user features and we can see exactly how each user is using the platform. So let's dive in. So I'll just show you how it works for a second. And we've got all these cool features here, like the knowledge map, which I'll dive into a bit later. That shows you how the knowledge of each course is distributed. We've got the overview of each video, and obviously all these cool features like how it lights up, shows the summary. So none of the other platforms allow you to do any of this stuff. I can even organize the course material based on how difficult it is and even the type of content, which will be coming soon. So jumping into one of the video panels, you can see how much more stuff there is going on here. And that's just my personal taste. I mean, once users start coming in, I'll probably strip back a lot of the features and make it more minimal. But for now, I just really wanted to see if I could implement all of these features that I'm so excited about. You got a note here from the teacher of the course, which is generated through AI. We've got the chapters here. And then the DNA of the content, which shows you exactly what's going on at each time. We've got the concepts from the content and the graph, which shows how all those concepts connect and relate. And so the way I made this work was I basically transcribed all of the content, and then I used different algorithms to figure out where the concepts were in that content so that I could weight the concepts in terms of how they connect to each other. I turned what used to be text into maths. And so the text was chunked into different sections, and then each section was turned into a vector. And a vector is a way of adding so much more information about each different chunk of text and seeing how each chunk relates to each other in space. And so this is called vectorized embedding, basically, and we use a platform called Pinecone, which is also free to embed the text as vectors. And now we can see how all of these vectors relate to each other, as you can see here in the knowledge graph, rather than just having to consume the content in a linear way. After a lot of iteration and testing, I got to a point where I was able to cluster these vectors into essentially high potency points. And these are where the points in the map come from. And these are the concepts here which have also emerged. And the real idea here was I wanted this platform to emerge out of the knowledge base. I didn't want to impose my ideas, my rigidity on top of the platform. I wanted the platform to allow itself to express in so much more of a flexible way. So this is really like a living organism that we've built here around the content. This updates and changes over time as the content body grows itself. So we've got our chapters here, we've got the thumbnails, everything that you're seeing here is custom built. The summary of the video is AI generated. The topics here, you can click through to them. And what's really cool, as you actually click in the video, you can see the different concept lights up because that's exactly what's being talked about at that point. And even we've got the references cited here, which you can explore going forward. Obviously, we've got the classic AI chatbot, which is pretty much a standard feature now in knowledge platforms. You can go in and ask a question to the chatbot and it will reference the database to, as you can see here, those are the sources. It's going to reference that database to provide an answer, which can be useful. But then we've also built in community features here. So this is where people can interact. But what's really exciting for me is this discover section, which is taking that linear content and allowing it to express itself in a new way, whether that's through a list of different concepts which come out of the content, or even being able to display those concepts in a graph, which you can actually follow and use in a different way. I mean, this is a really exciting thing for me to see. I've even run the content through a pipeline that pulled out every single question and answer and allows you to search the Q&A and watch the particular clip from that Q&A section. And that's what powers this as well. Because if there's a question here where someone asks a question, it will first check the Q&A database. It will surface that exact clip rather than answering the question just with AI. One of the new features I literally just added in yesterday was I ran the entire transcript through an algorithm which pulls out the names of people that are referenced by Paul and all of the books that he references as well. And this way we can collect a list of all of, and build a map of all of the external sources and references and add those as well. This is just the beginning of this platform, and I'm so excited for all the features we can add. I mean, we've got word of the day, which pulls out one of the concepts and displays it. Clip of the day, which selects an interesting clip from the hundreds of hours that are available. Pick up where you left off with tracks where you were. And we haven't even got into the customized user journeys yet, because this is really exciting. Because each user has their own account, we can collect data about them as they come into the platform and design a custom user journey for them through the content base, based on have they covered the highest leverage topics yet, based on their own life's experiences. So we can see here we've got 0% coverage so far because I haven't watched anything. But as you start watching things and you give it more information, it's going to recommend the best next video for you based on where you are. And it just gets cooler. I'm speaking so fast because there's just way too much to cover. But I've even got this white belt grading system. And this is the start of the gamification and community social features. Because as you move through gaining mastery over the content, you gain a higher grade, which is going to unlock even more features and abilities for you. We've got our streaks up here, which show you how many days you've used the platform, and we can tie rewards to that as well. And different community members can show up on the leaderboard based on how much effort and investment they're putting into the knowledge base. I've even built a book reader into this system that allows you to read these books right here in the platform. So this is just an example of what's now possible and what's available through Vibe coding and Vibe software development. You can just speak to AI and allow it to build anything that you want. And I've learned so much through just even building version 1 of the application that I've shown you today. The main, most important thing is really developing mind flexibility. As this technology is coming out, it's opening up exponentially faster pathways for you to achieve what previously used to take weeks or months. And so it's so important for you to cultivate mind flexibility, your ability to put down things from the past and pick up things from the future as they come, so that you can be adaptable and actually respond to new technologies in a more beneficial way for you. Because it's that mental rigidity and clinging to things which aren't working anymore, which is going to create suffering, because now you're at a mismatch with your environment. This is just scratching the surface of what's available, and I'm so excited to show you what I'm building next, because there's so many more features and layers of intelligence that are going to go on top of the platform that I've shown you today, and that's going to be coming out in future videos. So if this is interesting to you and it's changed how you think about AI and software development, then subscribe to the channel and there'll be more coming. You don't have to build exactly what I've shown you today, and that's not even the whole point of what I'm saying. And your content will probably lead to a completely different expression. The idea is that AI allows you now to get so much different results than you used to. You can allow your content and your ideas to express themselves. It's not even about you putting order onto them. It's about allowing them to express the potential that they already had within them by designing more effective environments, digital environments, for your ideas to flourish online. If you've ever heard of this book, Power versus Force by David Hawkins, then this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because on that level of consciousness graph, we've got more or less powerful perceptions of reality. And as you move up, you decrease resistance. And again, that's what mind flexibility is about. It's about decreasing resistance, because resistance causes contraction, which essentially leads to death. But opening and flourishing and allowing more possibilities to emerge. And it's that word allowing which is so important. When you allow something to express itself, that is so much more powerful and leveraged than when you force something to express itself. So when you're imposing top-down structure using one of these other softwares, you are forcing your ideas and your content into a certain order, a certain way of being. But if you allow the content to exist in the way it wants to exist, then it's so much more creative, it's so much more playful. And so by moving into power, moving up the scale of consciousness and allowing your ideas to flexibly express themselves into the world through this new technology, you're tapping into so much more leverage and potential for income and for influence and for impact. And so I'm so excited to share these ideas with you. And I'm going to be combining these worlds of technology and spirituality and philosophy so much more. So join me for the ride. Thanks for watching.